Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. I hope you're all having a great day. Today I thought it would be really fun to create this little Halloween home decor project, and we've got these cute little stamps and images that we're going to be using from the Art Impressions collection. So let's go ahead and get started. So to get started, I've got my Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station, and this is the non-stick craft sheet that is also available, and it's made specifically for this Make Art Station. And I'm just going to lay it down with some magnets so that we can do some painting here. And now I've got this little craft box. This is the little coffin box that we're going to be painting today. I found this at my local craft store, and it's got these little hinges on it, but we're going to remove those. I really just want one half of this for my project today. And you can save the other half for another project. Now I've got my Maker's Toolkit. This is from We Are Memory Keepers. I'm not sure if this is still available. I will list and link all the products down below for you. And if this is available, I will list this as well. But I grab this often. It's got all these little tools in it. It's got a little screwdriver, a hammer. It's got a little saw up there at the top. So it's really got some fun little items, and you just slide them into that little handle, and you can see that's that little saw that you have. So what I'm going to do is just take this little Phillips head and unscrew these. And so I'll take all of these little pieces off of here. I'll just set those aside. And now we've got these two pieces. I'm going to use the wider piece today, but you could certainly use that other one as well. If you want to make two of these, you can just paint both of these. So I've got some distress paint. This is from the Tim Holtz collection, and this is the black soot. And I'm just using a paintbrush here, and I'm going to add a nice coating of this all over this little coffin. And don't worry about those little holes there. We're going to be covering those anyway. Although I am covering the sides of this box, I did just decide to paint the whole thing just to be sure that none of that wood showed through. So I did a nice coating of that. Finished painting that off camera, and I set that aside to dry. So let's work on our stamping here. I'm going to grab the Art Impressions Peekaboo set, and I'll grab the little cat, the pumpkin, and that little Dracula. And then it's got the coordinating dies, which we'll be using here in a minute. And then from this set, which is the Halloween Slimline set from Art Impressions, I'll be using that little upside down bat there, the pumpkin, and those two spiders. And again, the coordinating dies. And then the last set I'll be using here is the Halloween Critter set from Art Impressions. And from this set, we'll be using that large spider. And then we're also going to use that little bat right there as well. And later on, we'll be using that little sentiment that says boo. So for paper, I'm using the Strathmore Bristol Smooth Cardstock. And for ink, I'm using the Versafine Onyx Black ink, which is a permanent black ink. I've placed some cardstock in my Mini Misty stamp positioner. And I'm using my Stampendable stamp press there to press that out. Now I can start my coloring. And I'm starting off with the Blossom Pink, and these are the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, and these are a water-based pen. And then to color in the cat, I'm going to be using light gray, gray, and dark gray. And I'll be listing all the colors I'm using in the upper left-hand corner as we go along. Now again, this is a water-based marker, so I'm going to be using my blender pen to do my blending. Now, I know if you've watched my videos before, you know that I tend not to reach for the black, even though I want this to be a dark cat, kind of a black cat. When I'm coloring in these little spooky items, I tend not to go for the black. I do find it's a little harder to blend it out to the color that I'm looking for. Sometimes it has a little bit of a purpley undertone to it. So I'm going to stick with these three colors, and I'm just laying them all down at one time, and then I'm going to do my blending. Now I did kind of decide here that that Blossom Pink was a little bit dark, but I'm going to work with it here on the cheeks, and then I'll switch that out for a lighter pink on the ears here. So I can keep coming in with my shadows here and adding more shadows if I want to. You can see up top here, I'm going to just darken that up a little bit here. And then I do want to keep the center of the face the lightest. So if you do get too much ink, you can always pull it off your image and just scribble it onto your scrap paper. And you do want to scribble your blender pen onto scrap paper when you're changing colors. So here I just wanted to show you that I grabbed that light pink to do the ears here, just to lighten that up a little bit. I thought that blossom pink was a little bit too dark. And there I'm going to go over it with that lighter pink, and then I'll just kind of blend that a little bit more. And here I'm just removing a little tiny bit of color there. And also all the products I'm using today are listed and linked down below and also on my blog. So if you are interested, you can just click on those links and it'll take you right over to the products. So now I'm going to take the sugared almond pink and let's color in our little Dracula. And now I'll go back to that light gray to do a little shadow around his face. I just want to kind of give him kind of a gray look, but I want to leave him mostly white. So I'll put the gray around the edges and then just pull in towards the center, keeping the center very light. Then I'll go back to the combination of the light gray, and the dark gray to do the hair. And I'll keep it darkest down here right along the hairline and then just pull it up towards the top. You can add all three colors at one time and then do your blending, or you can add them one at a time and blend each color separately. So whatever you feel most comfortable with. And you could certainly use a water brush here as well if you prefer that. That would work just fine. So I did the little shoes in that same combination of colors again. Now with red grape and deep red grape, I'm going to color in his little cape. And these two colors are part of that new color collection from Zig, that Set A 30-piece set. And again, I will list and link that down below. And these colors are just beautiful and they blend really well together. So you kind of get a dark red grape and a lighter red grape. So you can really do some nice shadowing here. Now I'll just go ahead and finish up the cape here. And I added a little bit of that color to the button. Now with smoky yellow and dark yellow, again, two of the newer colors, I'll do a little bit of coloring on his pants. And I love this combination of the red grape and the smoky yellow. It's really pretty. It's kind of almost an olivey green. And I can get a nice shadow here. I did the same thing with the little hands. And now I'm going back to that sugared almond pink for the cheeks on this little bat, and then I'll use those same combination of grays here to color in this little bat. And then again, back to those gray tones to do the jacket. And there you can see I'm removing color. I just had a little bit too much, so I'm just grabbing it and scribbling it onto my scrap paper there. I'm going to keep it very light, the little vest or the little jacket very light in the front there. I did get a little bit of that red grape, so you can also see me removing some of that. Some of it bled down into the gray. So you just, again, grab it and scribble it off. It'll come right off. You just need to have a little patience with it. So back to my grays. I used my sugared almond pink again on the cheeks there. And then I'll keep the shadows on this one sort of down towards the bottom. So I thought it would be fun to make this little box today, and we're going to give it a really nice wood grain side and on the inside as well. I've got some really pretty wood grain paper, and I'll be showing that to you here in a second, but it's really going to make this pop. And again, I think this could be a really cute little home decor item. It could also be a little party favor as well if you wanted to give it to your guests on their way out. It's really inexpensive. I think the little box was about $3, I want to say, at the craft store. So, and you can get 2 out of the 1 box. So it's pretty economical as far as that goes. So it would be really cute to give, if you were doing like a little Halloween dinner party, that would be fun to put one of these at each person's little dinner plate. And you could include their name, maybe put their names on the back and a little note on the back as well. Now for the pumpkins, I'll be using beige, yellow, bright yellow, scarlet red, and mid brown. So for the face of the pumpkin, I'm using the yellow, bright yellow, and scarlet red. And then I'll come over with a bit of the beige just to give it make it a little more spooky looking. So I'm going to add a bit of that beige, and then I'll use the beige and the mid brown on the stems. But you'll see when we complete our project that stem won't show, so it will end up getting covered. And then here I'm using the dark gray just to fill in the little gaps here, and then I'll use it on the eyes and nose as well. And then I'll go back to the beige and mid brown to do the branch up above. And I did that other pumpkin the same as that one we just did. And I did that other little bat off to the left the same as the other bat that's hanging there from that branch. So now we have everything colored in. Let's go ahead and do our die cutting. I'm using the Post-it tape. This is just a temporary tape. This is the 1-inch tape, and that'll just hold these dies in place while we run them through the die cutting machine. And to do my die cutting, I'm using the Sizzix Sidekick machine. And this does have the extended plates now, so it's about 1 inch longer than the plates we used to use. It's about 6 inches long, and I'll list that down below for you as well. So I did decide to go back and grab the coordinating dies and die cut each one of these out of some black 100-pound cardstock. I decided it would be best if I thickened up these a little bit because they are going to be hanging off the side of our box, and I don't want them to get bent or, damaged in any way. So what I'm going to do is just glue these together, and I'll do that for all of these. I did end up gluing a few extras to that little hanging bat because I thought it was a little more delicate than the others. So now I want to show you this beautiful wood grain cardstock. This is a 2-tone wood grain cardstock from the Tim Holtz collection, and it's kind of a black and gray combination. Now we're going to use it just as is, but you could certainly distress this, you could spatter it, you can do lots of different things to it. I did decide to use it just the way it is. What I'm going to do is cut this the width of my box, which looks to be about 1 inch. I'm using my grid there to determine the width of this. So I'll cut 2 strips at about 1 inch each. Now once I cut these, I did realize that they're just a hair too wide. So I will come off and just trim off a little smidge off the sides. And that's why I love this Tim Holtz paper trimmer, because when you go to cut off just a little tiny slice, it works beautifully. You don't get any of those raw edges or those rips or tears along the edge. It will cut a nice straight cut there. So I'm going to pop these right back in, and again just cut off that little sliver, and then these will fit perfectly. And you can see there, that's all I cut away, just that little tiny piece. So you'll want to check for the box you purchased to see how wide you want these sides, or how wide you need the sides to be. Now I've got some double-sided 1/4-inch Scor-tape, and I'm going to place that all around the edges here. So I'm going to do on the outer edge first, and I'll just go all the way around. And this is a nice, super strong adhesive. You could use your glues here if you prefer. I just thought it would be easier just and cleaner maybe just to use the tape here. So now I'm going to go all the way around the edges again on the opposite side, and then we can go ahead and glue this paper down. Now you do want to make sure you press it really well down to that wood. So I'm just using my bone folder here and making sure I press it down nice and firmly here. And now I can peel away the backing. So each of these strips will do about half the box. So I'm going to start at the top there, and I'm just pressing it into place, just following the lines of the box, and I'm placing my fingers on either side just to make sure it's nice and straight here. Now I'll go ahead and start from the bottom with this piece and wrap that one around up to the top. And then I'll just grab my scissors and trim away any excess here. And you'll see how beautifully this transforms this box. I just love this paper. Again, I think it has a lot of possibilities for distressing it and doing lots of different things to it. Now I did decide here I did want to insert that same paper inside my box. So the easiest way that I know to do this is just to trim out or use a pencil and trace out the box. And then I'm going to cut in about 1/4 inch because that's about the width of the edges around that box. So I'm going to cut away about 1/4 inch all the way around, and then I'll just check and see if that fits. If not, I can just trim off any little excess here. Just play around with it until you get that to fit right inside there. And by using a piece of scrap paper, you can just use that as your template. So now we have a template for the other half of the box. If you do decide to make a second one of these, you'll have your template all set and ready to go. So I just fussed around, and now that fits in there perfectly. So now I'm just going to pull that out with my tweezers, and now I can trace this right onto my wood grain cardstock. I'm just tracing this on the back of the cardstock here. And then I'll go ahead again with my scissors and trim that out. So now I can pop that right into place. And I did decide to add a little glue, even though I think it would have just stayed in there. I'm going to add a little bit of glue back here just to make sure that it stays in place. And for glue today, I'm using the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. So that's a super strong adhesive. And I'll grab my bone folder and just press that right down in there. And look at how great this looks. I just love this paper. It's so fun. So now here's where I'm going to take that sentiment, that boo sentiment that we looked at earlier. I'll go ahead and ink that up with the Versafine Onyx Black ink. I'm just going to stamp it on some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock. And then let's grab a die to cut this out. So I'm going to the brand new journal template die set from Art Impressions. And this is designed to create this little journal, this little booklet. And it's got all these wonderful dies in here. It creates pockets and tags and all kinds of fun stuff. And what I'm going to do is just grab this little die here. We'll go ahead and tape that down with a little bit of Post-it tape, and then we'll run that through the Sizzix Sidekick machine. Now let's add a little bit of purple. We're using the Wilted Violet Distress Oxide ink, and I've got a little sponge dauber here. I'm going to add a little bit of that purpley color all the way around the edges. And this will just help tie everything together here. Now I've grabbed a white gel pen, and I'm going to just add some highlights here and there on all my little items here. This just takes a second or two to do, but really makes things pop out a little bit better. So now I'm going to take some Easter grass. This is the crinkle Easter grass, but I think you can find this in the party section of your craft store. And this is like a two-tone purple, light and dark purple Easter grass. And I just wanted to fill in the bottom of this coffin, so it doesn't take much, just a few little pieces here, because I want my little cat to have something to sit on here. So I thought this would be perfect and would bring in a little bit more of that purpley tone. Now I've got the 3D foam tape from iCraft, and I'm going to just triple this up and put it behind my little cat. So I'm going to stack 3 pieces on top of each other. I'll remove the backing and I can tuck this little cat right in the center here. And again, that'll help bring our eye up towards the top of this little box and gives our cat a little something to sit on. Now you could create some little grassy borders there if you wanted to as well. That would be fun. So now I've got my little Dracula and the pumpkins, and I'm going to start adding these in. So you do want to be kind of careful where you put your glue, because this is going to be hanging over the edges. So I'm just going to place the glue right on the wood there. And then here's where I decided to stack those 2 pumpkins, one on top of another. So I'm going to go ahead and place that second pumpkin right on top. And by stacking those on top of one another, I had a little gap there behind that top pumpkin, so I'm going to tuck a little bit of that foam tape right behind the top of that pumpkin. Now I've got one of those little spiders, and I'm going to place that on the very top of these 2 pumpkins. Now I've got the hanging bat, and I do want to be careful where I put the glue here, because I just want it to be right along the wood there. And again, I did add a few more layers of the black cardstock behind that. So I did die cut, I believe, 4 black pieces all totaled, and glued them all together, because that was a little bit more delicate with the branch and the little leaves there. So I'm doing the same thing with the boo. I've popped that up using that foam tape. And then with this little bat here, I'm just kind of using my fingers just to round up those wings a little bit, just to give them a little bit of dimension. And then I'll add a little square of foam tape behind there. Now I've got this larger spider, and I'm tucking that right on top of that little boo. And then I'll add this other little spider off to the right hand side here. So let's add some sparkle. I've got the Spellbinders Purple Essential Sequins, and these are really pretty, and there's 3 different sizes in here. And again, this will just add a little sparkle in the background, and again, bringing in a little bit more of that purpley tone. I'm just going to place 3 of these in here, and that'll brighten up the inside of the box a little bit. And now I've got some purple twine, and I cut 3 pieces, and I'm going to just tie a little bow. I wanted to add a little dimensional bow to his cape, to Dracula's cape. So I'm going to just tie this bow. I'll cut off the ends, and you can see that up close there. And then I'll go ahead and glue that down. Let's go ahead and take a look at our finished box. And this is just so much fun. It's so easy to do. Like I said, you could create these for a fun little party favor. And it's a fun way to create a little home decor project, or a little project for your desk or for a co-worker's desk. And then back here, we could add more of that wood grain cardstock if you want to, or just some white paper back there to sign and write a little note. And this stands up perfectly fine on your desk. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. You know I really do appreciate it. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.